Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely wild, Denarii DeFi's highly technical blueprint for the agentic economy. We're talking about the very real possibility of a zero-human company. If you've been tracking the jump from software that needs humans to systems that run themselves, you know we're on the edge of a massive shift. This blueprint? It's basically our survival map into that new territory. Let's break this whole machine economy thing down into 6 quick steps. First, the zero-human company. Then, Web3's invisible infrastructure, followed by the AI management orchestrator. After that, we'll look at solving AI memory errors, unpack the 5 pillars of automation, and wrap up with the cost of entry. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1, the zero-human company. We need to fundamentally rethink how a business actually operates from the ground up. Just pause and picture this for a second. What if your company's entire staff was just code? I mean, a business where every single role, from the CEO mapping out the big picture all the way down to the QA testers squashing bugs, is replaced by autonomous software. No human employees, no sick days, no offline hours, just pure, continuous execution.
The reality of Denarii DeFi's ecosystem is that small teams deploy AI agents to hit infinite scale. Look, we're not talking about your basic customer service chatbots here. We're talking about a fully automated, autonomous corporate hierarchy. It's a complete paradigm shift where agents deploy, scale up, and even earn capital entirely on their own. To get why this is such a game changer, think about the structural shift happening to the internet itself. We are moving away from the old speculative web, a static digital library where humans read, click, and cause all sorts of lag, to a self-operating web. It's an automated factory executing financial flows at API speed. Seriously, if a system has to wait for a human to manually click approve, that delay is now literally considered economic leakage. The future runs itself. Moving to Section 2, Web3's invisible infrastructure. Because, well, for machines to run a factory and move money around seamlessly, they need a completely trustless, decentralized banking layer. I mean, it's not like an AI can just walk into a bank branch to open a checking account, right? So, Denarii DeFi solves this by combining 3 different ledgers into what they call the Trinity of DLT, distributed ledger technology. Since no single blockchain does everything perfectly, they use the XRPL for lightning-fast value transfers, Algorand for pure mathematical finality, meaning there's zero risk of a transaction reversing, so the AI never has to second-guess if a payment cleared, and Hedera for massive throughput and sub-second audit trails. It's an invisible infrastructure letting agents execute cross-chain operations with zero human latency.
Which brings us to Section 3, the AI management orchestrator. Because to manage all this invisible infrastructure, you need incredibly rigid oversight. You absolutely cannot have an army of autonomous bots just running loose without a manager.
Enter the Paperclip AI Orchestrator. This system organizes these bots into strict, almost ruthless corporate hierarchies. It deploys specialized quant, engineer, and social agents, all reporting to a central CEO agent. The orchestrator acts as the coordination layer. It basically takes raw, chaotic AI models and forces them to stay within a specific business role and, more importantly, a strict budget.
Section 4, solving AI memory errors. Running a business with AI has a massive technical roadblock known as the memento man problem. Essentially, AI models have complete amnesia between tasks. When an API call finishes, the model wakes up for the next job with a completely blank slate, zero situational memory. So, how do you fix a workforce that forgets everything every few seconds? Well, agents have to go through a mandatory heartbeat check-in to remind themselves of their persona and goals before doing anything. Plus, they use a highly structured pair-of-file system: projects, areas, resources, archives. This lets them search their memory without burning through their active token limits or their short-term memory capacity. It's kind of like giving an amnesiac a perfectly organized filing cabinet they have to read every single morning.
And that brings us to a pretty terrifying mathematical reality defined in the blueprint as the measurability gap. This is the danger zone, where unverified automation can compound errors and just absolutely wreck a business. You see, as the cost to automate cognitive tasks drops near zero, it becomes way cheaper than paying a human to verify it. So there is this massive, dangerous economic incentive to just let the machines run unsupervised.
Let's actually ground this in the math. We'll start with the assumption that a single AI agent is really good at its job, operating at a solid 95% base accuracy rate.
Now, a 95% success rate sounds fantastic for a single prompt, right? But watch what happens when an amnesic AI runs a complex, multi-step process unsupervised and is allowed to check its own homework.
Over just 10 consecutive steps, that stellar accuracy degrades and snowballs into a disastrous 59.8% end-to-end success rate. Basically a coin toss.
The math here is exactly why you can't just let a single AI workflow run wild. If an agent writes code and then evaluates its own code, the errors compound exponentially. It's a fast track to a complete system collapse.
To stop that collapse, Denarii DeFi brings in an independent QA agent. This agent's only job is to audit the work at intermediate checkpoints, and this resets the probability, slashing the undetected error rate all the way down to 0.25%. Just by breaking the workflow up and adding a second set of AI eyes, that compounding decay is completely neutralized in its tracks.
By proving this with hard math, they provide undeniable credibility that these multi-agent teams can actually be trusted with real capital. When you hear the numbers laid out like this, you realize we aren't talking about science fiction anymore. This is a rigorously tested framework built to survive inside that dangerous measurability gap.
All right, Section 5, the 5 pillars of automation. With the engineering safeguards and validation loops locked in, we can finally look at the massive financial impact of plugging this tech into an enterprise.
I really want you to challenge yourself right now. Look at your own daily workflows and ask, are they truly essential, or are they just structured inefficiencies waiting to be automated? Because in a post-interface economy, the money flows straight to the systems that remove human friction.
Across these 5 pillars of automation, AI agents are actively ripping and replacing legacy platforms. We're talking HubSpot for social campaigns, external firms for smart contract audits, premium analytics platforms like Dune or Nansen, and operations software like Jira. Add it all up, and Denarii DeFi estimates this wipes out over $100,000 a year in human management overhead. It is a total replacement of the traditional SaaS stack.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, the cost of entry. Before you rush out to plug your business into this orchestrator to save on overhead, there is a highly controversial barrier to entry we have to talk about.
Getting access to this paperclip orchestrator isn't like signing up for a standard software subscription. It enforces a strict cryptographic gate. You are literally required to hold at least 2% of the total DeFi token supply. When you try to log into the portal, the system checks your Web3 wallet. If you don't meet that mathematical holding condition, you don't get in. Simple as that. It transforms the token from a speculative asset into a literal key for the machine economy. Which leaves us with the pretty provocative final thought. If the ultimate keys to autonomous infrastructure require such a massive financial stake just to get in the door, will the zero-human companies of the future become an exclusive walled garden? Are we building this incredibly efficient, self-operating internet only to lock it behind a cryptographic gate reserved for the few? Really let that sink in as you look at the workflows around you today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the infrastructure being built right beneath our feet.